and welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to paint an abstract painting. There are many different ways to paint an abstract painting, and I'm going to explore some of those ways and styles in this video. You can use a reference photo, you can use just your imagination or your intuition, or you can also integrate mixed medium into your paintings. So, let's get started and I will explain more. So abstract paintings have three main elements. They are colors, lines and shapes, and the way that medium has been used. The simplest way to paint an abstract painting is by using just colors, one color or two colors or many colors. Now I divide the lines and forms or shapes into organic and geometric. We have organic lines and geometric lines, organic shapes and geometric shapes. Organic lines and shapes are usually more rounded and less organized, whereas the geometric shapes and lines are very organized and rigid, like a square. And with the third element, which is the medium, we can create texture on an abstract painting, whether we are using a heavy body paint or mixed medium by using collage and other found objects on the painting. So here I have some of the old paints that they have been sitting around, and some of them are hardened. So I think it's a very good usage of these paints for this project. And I'm going to demonstrate to you how to paint an abstract painting with using just color. So here is an old painting that I have and I'm not going to use it anymore, and you can always reuse your older paintings and paint over them. So for this project, this is perfect. I'm just going to prepare some of my paint here, maybe dilute some of them with some water, and start just dripping the paint and pouring the paint on the canvas. Now I'm doing so without any particular order or an image in my mind. This is called an expressionist abstract painting. And the way that I'm creating this painting was established by Jackson Pollock, who was using mainly just dripping paint, and he tried to not use the brush as much as possible, or just using the brush to drip the paint again. I find this style very fun and amusing, but the only challenge is creating the color combination that you would find most enjoyable or harmonious. So it may take some time to play around with colors and the layers of paint that you drip on top of each other. Maybe even you have to wait until some of them dry, and so you can add more paint on the painting. This style of painting requires you to be a little bit more physical, and maybe it is best to paint it at a large scale, just like the way Jackson Pollock did himself. Looking at his paintings, it seemed like his body was moving just the way that paint has been dripped on the paintings, and he mainly used house paint for painting these paintings. So for this painting, I also tried to not use any brush at all and just use the palette knife to move the paint around. And here is how this painting turned out. So here's another painting, abstract painting that I paint with just colors, and I added some mixed medium on top of it as well. These are just some found objects and paper. Another way that you can paint an abstract painting is by just doodling. I have a series of doodle paintings available on my YouTube channel here, where I gave a weekly challenge to myself to draw and paint a doodle. And then I created some patterns from these doodles. So here's another way of painting an abstract painting. Doodles are also abstract art. Now let's try to paint an abstract painting using geometric shapes and lines only. So here's another old painting that I had and I didn't need it anymore. So I painted over with this pink, and I left the parts that I actually still enjoyed and I thought that they could go well on this painting. Now I'm drawing some geometric shapes on this using a masking tape. Masking tape helps to create very clean, nice edges around the shapes. You can also use a tiny bit of matte medium as some sort of a glue to help to create even nicer and cleaner edges. because when you apply the paint, sometimes the paint goes underneath the tape and it might not come out as clean as you wish them to be. I don't have any particular idea in mind when am I painting this painting. I just know that I'm going to create some geometric shapes and it's going to be very flat, meaning I'm not going to add too much of shading. All colors are going to be applied as they are in their pure form. But one thing that I'm going to pay attention to is the contrast between the colors that I'm going to use. And I do not want to use too many different colors, maybe only 3 or 4. You can use even less than that. Remember, for painting an abstract painting, it is best to create some rules for yourself, so to make the process slightly easier, because otherwise there are too many different choices and ways to paint an abstract painting. So for this painting, for example, I am thinking of what colors I'm using, how am I positioning the different geometric shapes that I have here, and I am making sure to have variety of dimensions and size of these elements that I am painting, as well as a good contrast between the color temperatures that are being used for this painting. One of the ways to create a very good abstract painting is by paying attention to details and creating even these simple forms and shapes as delicate and as clean as possible, which of course may take some practice. And this is how you can create a minimalist abstract painting using geometric shapes and lines and very flat colors and stencils. Now, another way to paint an abstract painting is by using a reference photo. For example, here I have a photo of a flower field. I look at the main colors on this photo. I see blue and red, some green. Now I can paint an expressionist abstract painting by using a heavier body of paint like an impasto and using my brush strokes in many different directions or one direction, such as this one. Or I can paint this same abstract painting in a very flat format without using that many brush strokes and just painting these colors in rectangles in the order that I just said and named. And this is almost like the work that Mark Rothko, for example, has done a lot. He has many paintings of just simple colors, even just one big painting of one color alone. So now I'm going to use this photo as a reference photo for my abstract painting. So the painting that I want to paint is going to be a mixture of all of these. I'm going to use a reference photo to just get some idea and be inspired by it. And then I'm going to use some geometric shapes and I'm going to probably drip some paint as well. And I will make sure that I have some brush strokes and make it slightly expressive as well and see how it goes. Now when I'm looking at this reference photo, I only notice the mountains and the negative space around it. So I think that can look like an abstract painting. And I'm going to just capture the form, the overall shape of the mountains and work around the negative space. The rules that I'm creating for myself for this painting is that I do not want to use too many different colors. I want to keep it mainly light. I will be using blue and green, and so that's probably going to be the main theme of this painting. But I also want to have some contrast between the temperature of the colors that I'm using, so I might add a tiny bit of red. So for the beginning of the painting, I just add the colors that I want to see on the painting and just work around it. So once I have the main shape on my painting, on my canvas, I start working around it, painting it and adding different colors and balancing the light and dark and the contrast between all these colors. Sometimes I turn my painting upside down and I look at it from different orientations and see how does it make me feel like. And then eventually I realize that I actually do not enjoy to see the very dark edges of the mountains. So I'm just going to soften them a little bit and I'm going to start pouring some paint. I have painted the circles. I think the circles go very well on top of this mountain, and I might add some more as well and see how does it make my painting look like. And then at the end I'm just going to add some tiny details to this painting. Even though this is an abstract painting, I still can add details to it, such as lines, some smaller details of just paint, some dots, and adding these drips, and any final brush strokes anywhere of the painting that I feel is required to make this painting as effective as possible. Now, all of these elements that I have added to this painting, such as the geometric shapes, these circles, the way that paint has been dripped on it, my brush strokes, these lines that I have added, and all the smaller details, they are there in order to help the viewer to look at this painting from a particular way. For example, when they are looking at this painting, they probably are going to notice the circles first, or they want to probably look at the mountains, or both. But I have placed the circles specifically in a way that the viewer would look at the painting from the top right corner to the left. And then because half of the painting is covered with more white or a whitewash, the other half of it draws more attention because it has a very high contrast. And it also still mimics the form of the mountains. And when the viewer is looking at this half of the painting, they will see the mountains or some form that resembles a mountain. And the lines, the wavy lines on the bottom of the painting, are directing the viewer to look from bottom to the top of this painting. So I guess I've been very attracted to the circles for this painting, and I also have added some golden and silver colors to make this painting even more interesting. If the viewer comes close or sees the painting from a particular angle, they can see that it's going to be slightly shiny. Okay, I'm going to sign my painting and finish it at this point. Alright, so I finished my painting. Here's my abstract painting. It's quite large. And overall, I am pretty satisfied with it. I'm not sure if I want to finish it at this point or keep working on it. That's actually one of the challenges of painting an abstract painting. Not knowing where exactly to finish, or whether or not, work is done at any point of the painting process. So it's what comes with the painting and abstract painting, and it can be very easy and it can be very difficult depending to how you make your choices and how you make your decisions when you are painting an abstract painting. Here are the other ones that I painted. I'm going to show them quickly. So this is the one with the mixed medium, one that is more flat, and one that is in Jackson Pollock style. Anyway, if you do paint an abstract painting, please feel free to share them with me. I would love to see how your abstract paintings turn out. Thank you very much for your attention and watching me. Until next video, goodbye.